Hey friends, welcome to Thanks I Had a Podcast. We're here today with Skip Tognetti from Letterpress Distilling. I said distilling.
You did.
Let's keep that though. This is my second take. We're gonna do it live. How's it going, Skip?
It's going great. How are you?
Yeah. I never learned how to say distilling, so you can teach me how to say it. How's your week?
It's just starting.
Yeah.
The last week though has been pretty good.
How's
Things are
your
getting.
weekend rather?
My weekend was. I mean, my weekends are often in my tasting room. So I've sort of reverse weeks to many people. Like that's the one time that I have like hard time. I need to be somewhere, which is at the
Right.
tasting room on Saturdays. But yeah, it was lovely.
I have a naive question, and both of you can answer this. You're right by Lumen Field, right? Mariners are happening, right? That's
Yeah,
on.
right by closer to T-Mobile.
Okay.
So if anybody here knows where like the best landmark people seem to know is like King 5, kitty corner from
Hmm.
T-Mobile Park. I'm just like one block west of that
Okay. Jeff, do you know
little old
that?
building.
Are you go to Mariners games? Do people go to Mariners games? Like,
Yeah,
is it prohibitive to do this? Cost
to
prohibitive,
go to a
or do you
Mariners
go?
game?
Yeah,
No, they're like $20.
they are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Like I mean,
Oh,
they're better.
I thought they used to be.
They're better now. Like this is kind of a
Okay.
year where everybody's like very excited because they were good last year and they spent money in the off season and made some acquisitions that presumably make them even more poised to make a run at a World Series. But even then, they have 160 something games, so it's like
Okay.
the tickets can't be that expensive compared because football only has 16 games. That's why the tickets are like
Right.
$300 because they only play like 8 home games a year. But
Shows what I know.
yeah, so no,
yeah.
everybody loves the Mariners. I feel like baseball is kind of like for the people in comparison to other major sports. You know, it's definitely cheaper than going to anything at Climate Pledge or at Lumen Field.
It's the labor
And
union
my
sport.
favorite affordable Mariners secret is I think there's like 6 or 7 now spots where you can get normal size beers for basically normal prices.
Really?
Yeah, they're I forget what they're called, like the value beer play. I don't know what they're called. You can look
Ins-
them up.
Inside the
Inside the
stadium?
stadium,
Go
yeah, you
on.
can get like 12-ounce beers for like $6 or
Oh
something, six
shit.
fifty. Yeah, which is better in so many ways because one, I don't need a beer the size of my forearm
No.
because I
For
can't
$35,
drink it. I
yeah.
can't drink it before it goes warm and flat.
Right.
And yeah, so anyway, look around. You'll find some places to get affordable, normal size beers.
But also, they can pre-funk if it's the weekend at your tasting room, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
It's one of the best places.
The reason I asked this, Jeff, is because I wondered if you knew that area around Lumen slash T-Mobile Field if you go to games in person.
Yeah, so it seems like you're one block like west. So you said you're a little bit closer to like the on ramp for the 99.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So where you would come out of the tunnel and then you go straight and then you keep going straight until you can't go straight.
Yeah.
You take a left and you would go to the state. If you did go straight, you would drive into my driveway.
Perfect. Yeah, I know exactly where you are then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Real quick, Jeff, how was your weekend?
My weekend was good. I'm kind of on the same schedule that Skip is. I kind of have a reverse week. So yesterday was like my recovery day. After all my days at work, the Mariners are here, so it's been busy.
Right. You're in Pioneer Square, not too far from Skip, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's been really busy. I really like having the sports fans going to and from the stadium. A lot more people stay at the hotel because they're like traveling to watch, the Yankees play. That's who is here this week. So that's kind of like a national team as far as like the fan base is concerned. So people will come up from like SF, LA, Denver, the Midwest, wherever, because they're like, oh yeah, it's a Yankees game, and I want to go see a Yankees game. So yeah, we had a lot of people up there this week.
I was thinking about that. I briefly lived in New York City for about a year and a half, and the guy I was dating was a baseball guy, and he never went to a Yankees game the whole time, or a Mets game, the whole time he lived in New York because it was like $150.
Hmm.
So when he moved here in like 2009, it was like $10. You could just go down and get like a scalped ticket at the last second, and he couldn't believe it because he had been deprived of the in-person experience till he moved to
Yeah.
Seattle.
Well, Seattle's kind of an incredible sports town in that way because not only is going to a Yankees game price prohibitive, or like a lot of games on the East Coast, it's also location prohibitive. Like
Right.
It's in the Bronx. So like
It's way up there.
I mean, I know they have a great public transportation system over there, but like if you live in Manhattan, like you got to go to the Bronx to go see a Yankees game, whereas like our games are just right downtown.
Right.
So,
he lived in
like,
Greenpoint, Brooklyn, so it would have been an hour and change just to go see a game.
Right.
Yeah.
I had the same situation in Massachusetts. Like, I'm a football guy, so even living in Boston, it was like, oh, Foxborough is literally 40 miles away from.
It's so
Boston.
far.
So it's like they're not a Boston. Like it is the New England Patriots, and Boston's the biggest major city there, but they're like in the middle of nowhere, and so it's like
closer to Providence, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. It is closer to Providence.
Skip, are you still fucking around in Boston, or are you back?
Actually, I'm representing Boston right now.
You are.
Sort of. No, we're out of there, but still trying to. We have a little condo there. My wife is for those people. I've been there half time for the past few years because my wife is working there. So we're just trying to sell our condo. Anybody need a condo in East Boston? I got a place for you. And otherwise I've been here full time for the past several months.
Wait, so you're in East Boston. They called it. I had these people that were at the hotel a couple weeks ago, and they called it Eastie. Like
Eastie, yeah.
I asked the guy like where they were in Boston because it's always nice to like know what they're talking about, and they're like, "Oh my God, you know Boston too. This is so cool. We're friends now." But then he said he was from Eastie, and I kind of like. Oh, cool.
Yeasty?
Yeah, I kind of like shook my head like I can conceptually understand that. But like as somebody who lived there,
02128.
yeah, as somebody who lived there in 2009, like that didn't exist. So I had no idea.
It did. I mean, Eastie's always been there. This is now a sports and geography podcast.
Yeah, that's fine. We haven't even talked about your liquor yet.
East Boston. It's where the airport is.
Right. That's what they said. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it is, and it's probably within the city limits of Boston, the last like real immigrant working class neighborhood. When you walk around East Boston, 90% of what you hear spoken is Spanish, and it's mostly Colombians, Salvadorans, Venezuelans.
We spent a day there when we were in Boston last, and we ate that pizza that you and I were making fun of. Terrible
pizza, yeah.
Yeah. What was it called? I can't remember.
Santarpios.
I was like, it starts with an S, Santarpios.
Yeah.
It was a cool little neighborhood. There were lots of Ethiopian restaurants and Puerto Rican restaurants, and I don't know, it was cool. It reminded
a ton
me
of Colombian restaurants, yeah.
Yeah. It reminded me when I lived in Astoria, Queens. It just had everybody, right? Egyptian restaurants. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like it's one of those neighborhoods that has been sort of like it was in some ways like our version of that is Rainier Valley, maybe, where like
definitely.
Sort of whoever the newest group of immigrants is sort of moves in, and then it kind of moved, like the Italians moved out, and then the Central Americans, South Americans moved in, and maybe then that transitions to an East African.
It's where the cheapest apartments are. Absolutely.
Well, it's always a moving target too, because like when I was there, it was Jamaica Plain, or it was still Southie,
Yeah.
And like I think even the North End, it was like pretty established, but it wasn't nearly as like touristy as it is even 15 years later. So it's like you don't have Southie anymore, you don't have the North End anymore, you don't have like anything around like Jamaica Plain or like Brookline or anything like that, like Roxbury.
Really?
So you have to go.
You don't?
Well, no, I mean, they still exist, but like they were getting gentrified even like 10 years ago when I moved there.
That's crazy. So we all three have a Boston connection because I went to Berkeley for a summer. I was only there for about 6 months, but when I was 19, I remember I was at Berkeley College of Music, which was doing the summer performance program, and one of the singers was like, I got invited to a gospel church. She was Somalian but raised in Sweden. She'd been adopted moved to Sweden. Maybe not adopted. I'm thinking of Marcus Samuelson. Anyway, she met a guy who thought she was hot and said, come to my church in Jamaica Plain. And she didn't want to go by herself, so she was my roommate. So I went out to Jamaica Plain, and it was the first time I had gone to a black church and seen gospel singing. And it was like, it just blew my little white Seattle mind. It was so beautiful. And so when I hear Jamaica Plain, I'm like, that's where that beautiful gospel choir was. And it was my first introduction to that in real life, right? You'd seen it in like Sister Act 2, but not in real life. But I'm sad to hear it's being gentrified. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. That was 25 years ago. But Skip, let's talk about. You want to do your whole origin story? I have all these notes. Let's see
Sure.
here. You're born in Rome. You're raised in the Bay Area. Your grandpa had a liquor store. You want to go over that?
I was not born in Rome.
No. You
My
just hung
mother was
out.
born and raised in Rome. I just spent a
Okay.
lot of time there growing up because my grandparents
I
lived there
see.
and
So
my aunts
you're
and uncles and everything. Yeah,
so you grew up in the Bay Area in San Francisco proper?
correct. Yeah, yep.
Okay.
No, in the East Bay.
In East Bay. In Eastie?
Yeah,
But you were going back and forth and your grandfather had a liquor store in Rome.
correct.
Okay. And so you were drinking from the time you were a little kid, Italian style.
Yeah.
uh, Go ahead.
In some ways, yeah. Like, if we weren't like doing shots at the table, but like,
Right.
no, I mean, it's not uncommon at some certain age much younger than what you would find here in the States. Like, you get a little wine in your glass and then they fill it with water. And then kind of as you
Yeah,
get
they fill
older,
the water in it.
there's like less and less water and more wine until you just drink your wine, by, time you're a teenager or whatever.
Wine training wheels. I like that.
Yeah.
So one of my questions that I wrote down was like, why did you decide to open a distillery and not a bar? Or a liquor store for that matter. Like your grandfather was selling liquor, but you decided to
Sure.
make it instead.
Yeah. I think it's just because I like to make stuff. So, like, a good example of this is when I was in college. I was originally an English major, studying, reading books and writing things about them. And I transitioned at some point. I ended up doing both, but I transitioned at some point to being an art major, um, specifically because, and I said to people, it's because I didn't want to just keep talking about stuff other people made. I wanted to make stuff. So I think that just kind of carried through. It's just,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's interesting to think about studying liquor production as an art, like as a classical art, but it is, right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
an
I
ancient
would
one.
often tell, back in the early days when I would do a lot of tours around the distillery, people would often ask, or we get to the end of the tour and people's like, wow, there's a lot of science here. And I'm like, honestly, I think of distilling as simple science and complex art.
Okay.
It's I can teach someone the science of distilling real distilling. And frankly, like just to be straight up, like we no longer and haven't for years make our base spirit. So I'm not even distilling very much anymore.
Right.
Where I am making liqueurs,
Okay.
I'm combining flavors and sort of thing. Yeah.
But you used to make whiskey. You started with whiskey and gin, is that right?
No, I started with actually the first thing I had was vodka
Okay.
because I was making the base for my liqueurs, and I was like, well, if I'm going to do that, let's make a vodka that I would enjoy drinking as a person who doesn't really drink vodka.
Right.
And we did that for many years. I would drive a truck up to Arm in LaConner, pick up 3 tons of soft white wheat and drive it back, and we would turn that into vodka. It was extraordinarily inefficient at the scale that we're doing stuff.
Yeah. Were you open for business at that time, like, or were you just doing it as
Mhm.
a homebrew project?
No, I was open for business. We've been open since December of 2012. So it's been a long time. Um,
Okay. Yeah.
and yeah, the distilling isn't like brewing or winemaking where you really can't, I mean, you can do it at home, but you can't legally do it at home.
Right. That never stopped
And
anyone.
never, yeah. Um, but I just decided like, if I'm going to do this, and this was around the time the laws had changed, some laws had changed in Washington in 2008, and I was following along with that. I started working on a business plan. I decided the thing I wanted to do. Again, sort of, I'd been working at a desk job and I was I'm not like, I'm not suited for that temperamentally. And so I, yeah, so I was around 2010, I started raising a little money, not nearly enough, but a little bit, and the space and built it out. And here we are.
And so your first, did you get started with Amaro first or limoncello? I can't remember.
Yeah, so let's go back to that. So yeah, so you were asking about what I started making. The first thing I released was vodka because it was the first thing that came out, and that was the first batch. But and my plan had been, so you weren't far off. My plan had been to make whiskey and gin. Uh, when I wrote my business plan, there were like 5 distilleries in Washington, and by the time I opened up, there were like 17. And then as they continued to open up, everybody was doing whiskey and everybody was doing gin. I had always, if you read my business plan, had like this idea that I wanted to do Italian liqueurs as like a side project that I didn't think could sustain a business. Frankly, like I would be making the whiskey and gin, and it would sustain the like Italian liqueurs side of the business. And um, I released the limoncello shortly thereafter, and it got really good reception. We got some really, I got lucky to get some really good sort of high profile reviews on it, and it just took over the business. And at the same time, so many distilleries were opening, and they were making gin and whiskey and vodka and whatever, that I thought maybe I should just do the thing I know. Like I have a background with Italian liqueurs. Sometimes I think the business tells you what it wants to be, and you could fail by trying to force it to be something else. And it just so happened that it was a thing that I love. And so yeah, so I started working on an Amaro recipe. I spent about 3 years on that. In the meantime, we'd released a seasonal blood orange cello, and then in 2017, I released the Amaro Amorino, named after that same grandfather who owned the liquor store.
Mhm.
Um, and then just started to slowly add some other things. We have a reserve version of the Amaro, which we put into used whiskey barrels. We bottle it at a higher proof. It
Cool.
changes a little batch to batch because we use different barrels. We have a nocino, which if people aren't familiar, or is a liqueur made from immature walnuts.
Immature.
Walnuts,
I thought you
immature,
were
yeah.
gonna say green walnut. They're immature.
Green. I say green, and then people think that's a type of walnut. So I've
Ah,
unripe,
yeah.
I guess, not quite ripe walnuts.
Juvenile walnuts,
Yeah,
childish walnuts. Yeah.
adolescents. So we, yeah, and then also started making a thing called a Genziana, which is I call it my lovable weirdo. It's a wine. It's a fortified wine based liqueur that uses gentian, a bitter gentian root as its main botanical, and then just a few other sort of secondary botanicals. And yeah, so we've got a
Gen-
kind of small lineup of stuff now.
Genziana Fernanda. Is that right?
Genziana Fernanda, yeah. So named after my one of the cousins my mom grew up with in Italy, Fernanda, who's kind of like an aunt to
Okay.
me.
Yeah.
And when my wife and I were in Italy in 2019, she served us a homemade version, which is pretty common in central Italy to make homemade Genziana. And I was kind of obsessed with it. And then when we came back, the world shut down shortly thereafter, but I had this project in my mind. And so I started working on it. I fell into this beautiful wine that this French woman was making out in Port Townsend. And she was going out of business, but I loved her wines. And she had called me to see if I wanted to buy some to distill or whatever. And that led, because I had been introduced to that winery by the folks at Lorsan, which is one of my favorite places.
Yeah.
And so I was texting with Zach, one of the owners there, and said, "Hey, it's a real bummer. Lullaby Winery's going out of business, but I'm going to buy this wine and I'm going to make this gentian liqueur." And he was like, "Can we work on that with you?"
Oh,
So it
cool.
was kind of like a little pandemic project that I worked on with those guys, and I love that product.
I don't know this story. I know that there was a gentian root. You had a gentian root Amaro, and it was named after your mom's cousin. But I don't think I remembered that Lorsan helped you do it.
Yeah, yeah, and even more fun, like a little nod to that. If and you can see this on my website. If you I took if you look at the word Genciana on our label, that's Fernanda's handwriting that we took. I took off of the photo of the photo of the bottle that she had served us. It's like I want to kind of make a nod to that, and her handwriting's like super beautiful. So
I'm sort of jealous that you're like, it's super common for people to just make their own Amari in southern Italy. And I'm like, why aren't we doing this? I know it's because
yeah,
Washington's a nanny state and you're probably not even allowed to do that for your own use. But
you could probably do it in your home, like you could do
oh,
infusions and stuff. You couldn't sell it, that's for sure.
no, I was like, they
Yeah,
try to tax you just for making it,
just
fine
for
you for
thinking
it.
about it.
That's just a lovely practice. And like, I don't know, I'm thinking of people growing shit in their gardens and being like, why don't I make a nice little digestif out of this? And I feel like, I mean, it's not just around here. It's America. We don't do shit like that. But we could
Yeah,
be. We could
yeah,
have that. We could be living in paradise like the
yeah.
Italians.
I mean, it's why Amaro is so varied throughout the country, because often people were making with what they had around them or what they had access to, like you see in the south of Italy sometimes more things that may have been on trade routes,
Mm-hmm.
spices and things. Up in the north, you see things more that were growing
Right.
perhaps more locally.
So was it limoncello that got you into Amari or vice versa?
Well, I mean, I'd always been into Amaro, and I love it. And it was the limoncello that gave me the confidence to make the business about making Italian liqueurs.
Okay.
That said, I can. This is a thing that we can do sustainably
Is there,
as a business.
I'm imagining they're starting from scratch. I mean, you didn't really start from scratch because you have family members who do this kind of shit, but like, how difficult is it to make an Amaro? Like, my brother-in-law used to make limoncello and it was not hard. He's not a smart
Yeah.
guy. But like, an Amaro with 20 different plants in it might be a little more
Yeah, for
difficult. Yeah.
me, it's pretty hard. I am for a number of reasons. Like other people, like I know you've talked to the Sensafina people before, and they like launch with five Amari, and I'm like, that's amazing. I love those people, and I love their products. I don't know personally how to do that. Like I can't juggle that many things in my brain. And so I tend to be pretty slow. I tend to work on a recipe and walk away from it for a while because I need to like process it and I need to drink other things and think about what I'm tasting in those and then like give it a couple months and come back and be like, okay, let's make some. I also tend to be there's a one way in which I'm like super methodical. So I'm actually working on a collaboration tomorrow right now. Um, with a friend of mine who owns a couple bars, and I'm excited about it. And I'm working on with some botanicals that I've never worked with before. One of which is especially local, which is Devil's Club. Um,
Devil's Club. I've seen that
yeah,
on a seed packet before, but I don't really know what it is.
yeah, it grows wild in the Northwest. I don't actually know what it is either because I don't know I don't know botany.
You don't know botany? You make
Not
you
the
make Amari and you don't know botany.
right.
Okay,
Well, I
okay. I
understand
accept this. Yeah.
botanicals like culinarily.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know much about like
Genus and yeah.
flora. Yeah.
Okay. I see.
So one of the things I do is like right now I'm staring at 8 jars over there across my kitchen,
Hmm.
and I have a couple of different botanicals that I haven't worked with before. So one of the things I want to do is I want to know what do they bring flavor wise. But more importantly, so the first thing I do is I take and I make four different proofs of alcohol from 90 to 150 in 20 proof increments. And then I
Okay.
put the botanicals in each of those because they're going to extract different things at different proofs. And I want to know what's going on there. And that's going to inform, it's easy to take like, some 100 proof vodka and just throw a bunch of stuff in it and what comes out comes out. But if you really
Right.
want to be able to dial in flavor profiles, this is kind of how I go about it. So,
And have it be consistent. Yeah.
yeah.
What does Devil's Club taste like or smell like? What is
Um,
it? I'm looking at a picture of it. It looks fucking crazy.
yeah. People who hike I talk to people who do a lot of like outdoorsy stuff seem to know what it is. Yeah, that's it. And so it's very piney. The one that came out of the 150 proof smells like gin almost.
Okay.
But then in the 90 proof, there's some more sweetness and earthiness that's coming out of it in
Okay.
addition to that pininess. So yeah, it's I'm learning about it as well.
It is in the ginseng family.
Oh,
That
there you
gives
go.
me a clue there. It is also the Latin name is Oplopanax horridus, as in horrid. Horridus. I don't know why. That's fascinating. Sorry, I am into botany, so now I want to know about this,
Yeah.
especially because it's local. I like
Yeah.
that. Not that I have a problem with you using gentian root or whatever, but like it's cool that you're using native plants. I always like to hear that.
Yeah, you try to do a little bit of that. Like there's a distillery here in West Seattle. They're very small. They're just kind of starting out for the last couple of years called Lodgepole, and we're using their gin in our tasting room. But they also have a gin that they did as a collaboration with the UW Arboretum.
Okay,
Um,
cool. Oh, I love that.
and yeah, so like they're not using all Arboretum ingredients, but they certainly are. They drove around and the Arboretum and tried to figure out like what kind of stuff can we use, and then a portion of the proceeds from that gin go back to the Arboretum, which is cool.
That's cool as hell. They're
Yeah,
informed by the Arboretum. And the
Yeah,
arboretum is such a resource just in general, even if you want to go take a walk, but certainly to learn about botany, local botany. That's great.
yeah.
I had a silly question here. How have people used your spirits in surprising or interesting ways, if
Oh,
ever?
um,
If ever they have.
well, I wish I'd been prepared. Like, I'm not sure I'm ready for this question.
I'm sorry.
That's
You can
okay.
decline. No comment. None of my business. You can tell me when I'm older. Like, you can think about it.
Yeah, it's a good, I mean, it's a really good question, but I'm always like, I find that all the bartenders I know are so creative that I have a lot of things that surprise me. And so, um, yeah, someone started using my cellos in hot toddies. It was a pretty basic thing, but my limoncello and my blood orange cello are both honey sweetened. But I hadn't thought of that. But of course, honey is a common component in a hot toddy, and so we now do that in the tasting room all the time, and it's like a lovely way to use it that you wouldn't think. You think limoncello. You think sitting on a patio in the summer,
Right. It doesn't seem
making
like a,
spritzes.
a winter flavor. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
a great idea. I
which
also
is
like,
hilarious because lemons are, citrus is a winter fruit.
right.
Um,
They need the winter to change color and develop. And the blood orange cello, it's an aroncello. I just like that word.
Orangello, yes.
Like a aroncello.
Orangello
Yeah.
rosso. So it's yeah.
Do you still do the pompelmocello, the grapefruit one?
Occasionally. We
Okay.
just sold out of it the last batch, and we'll probably do another batch next year, like this time next year. But in the meantime, we'll be completely out of it. And that's like a distillery only thing.
Okay. So people like me need to go to your damn tasting room and try it, right?
That's right.
I am delinquent. I have never been to your tasting room. We were talking about this earlier. But for everyone who's listening, I keep meaning to go, but I'm never
Yeah.
in that Lumen Field neighborhood on the weekends. And it's
Yeah.
weekends
Yeah.
only. That's no
It's not,
excuse. Like, it still is wrong of me. So
it is, I'm pretty
it's
upset about it.
it's
Um,
incorrect of me. Now,
yeah, no, it's all like,
Jeff, do you want to go? Because you're in that neighborhood too.
Oh yeah, I would love to.
On the weekend,
Yeah,
like before you start your shift, I'll show up.
a little
yeah.
afternoon limoncello never hurt anybody.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
I
It's
get it.
and it can be lovely, especially when the sun is out. We just put some tables out on our little, like, what is functionally our loading dock, but it's like it makes
Yeah.
like this nice, like, it's got a tree and some grapevines, and so it's this nice little sort of oasis in the middle of SoDo. Yeah, it's really lovely.
It looks great. I've seen the pictures, and the build out is gorgeous too. And then lastly, what's your go-to drink at a bar? I should be asking everyone this, by the way.
That changes
Yeah.
all the time, but sort of historically, well, I mean, it feels kind of cliche, but I love a Negroni.
Yeah.
Um,
No, that's
yeah,
legit.
I tend to like relatively simple drinks. I also love a Sazerac,
Yeah, that's a good one.
and I also feel like a Sazerac is like, man, the simplest drink, and yet like the biggest variation in quality from like one to another. Like some of the best drinks I've ever had have been Sazeracs, and some of the absolute worst drinks I've ever had have been Sazeracs. And it's like it's only like three ingredients. Um,
Jeff,
but yeah,
Do you have intel on that?
Yeah, totally. I feel like every bar I've ever worked at, the bartenders have at one point had a Sazerac making contest. Which is like you said, it's not something you would think is that big of a deal because it's such a simple cocktail, right?
hmm
But I think that like the amount of sugar varies between
hmm
people, the amount of peychaud's you use. I think it's
hmm
mostly just like a discrepancy in like what the specs are. But then even just like, I think it's really important that it's not over diluted or under diluted.
hmm
It's just one of those cocktails where like every step along the way you have an opportunity to ruin everything you've done previously. So I
Yeah.
actually kind of like that about it. I'm kind of in your camp as well as far as just like favorite cocktails. Like I think the Negroni probably is the best cocktail of all time, and it's not even close. So
You're classic guys.
yeah,
Yeah.
There's no pressure to pick a weird thing. Like
Yeah. No,
they're classics for a reason, right?
I sometimes call I will refer to Sazeracs when I have this conversation periodically as the hummus of cocktails. Because think about like what other thing has that much variation from like good to terrible? Like great hummus is one of the most beautiful things in the world. And then there's the hummus that you get like at the conference table, like you're out at a
The
conference and they've got like
Safeway
the
hummus,
and it
yeah.
like holds the shape of the ice cream scoop that was it was served with, you know.
It's
Yeah.
all crumbly. That might be the
Yeah.
episode title. We'll see if we say anything funnier, but the hummus of cocktails is pretty good. I also like we could be living in paradise like the Italians, but that's a little long for an episode title. uh, Jeff, did you say what your go-to is?
Um, I feel like
You just said classics, right?
yeah, I mean, I definitely have some favorite cocktails that I would say are my favorite cocktails to like serve to people and to turn people on to. I feel like that's kind of a theme with me is it's like what's the most exciting thing to serve somebody? And part of that for
Yeah.
me is knowing that once they have that knowledge that that's a drink that exists and that they love it, they can go somewhere else and order it too. So it's like
Right.
I mean, you know, it's great to make something up for somebody as well and it's like, "Oh yeah, you can only get this here from me because I just made it up." But I think it's more important to be like now you can enjoy this everywhere. And I think the one that jumps out to me is a gin cocktail called a 20th century cocktail. I
Ooh.
Yeah.
also bring it up because you do have the Gentian liqueur. The Genziana would be like a really good substitution for the Lara d'Or. I think any Gentian liqueur is called for, but the Lara d'Or by Tempest Fusion is the one that I've most commonly
Mm.
worked with. But it's just gin,
Yeah.
lemon, that, and creme de cacao, and it tastes like a lemon adjusted Tootsie Roll.
That sounds good as hell. Like an
It's
herbal
yeah,
chocolate bar.
it's really good.
Yeah. You're not a drinker though, so this is just you're just teaching a man to fish, right?
Yeah,
You're like,
yeah,
here's this little nugget that you can keep in your brain when you go somewhere else.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's the
Got
greatest
it.
joy that I get out of it.
I've been in my
Yeah.
gimlet era for a minute here. I like a gimlet when I'm not feeling extra, you know?
You know, if
There's
you want to have a gimlet and you want to feel a little bit extra about it, garnish it with some black pepper.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
That's a great
just a really
that's a
nice
fine
little touch on
idea.
the nose. I feel like there's specific gins you can use that really change the profile of the gimlet. Like I remember one of my favorite ones back in the day, Saint George from Alameda had a dry rye gin, which I think just means that
Ooh.
the mash
Okay.
bill was a greater majority of like rye than what most gin. I feel like gin never has rye as part of the mash bill, but this one did. And something about that with like the black pepper just really transforms what just adding like simple syrup and lemon juice or what lime juice and simple syrup did to it. Like it just became a much more complex cocktail. So I love drinks like that too, where it's like you can plug and play with the actual like spirit is that you're using, like not the classification, but like the product itself, and all of a sudden you have a totally different cocktail. Like a gimlet with Hendrix is going to be totally different than a gimlet with like the dry rye, like I said, or even like with like
Right.
Plymouth or
A-
something. It's
a-
going to be totally
or
different,
Empress or whatever. There's so many different ways.
right?
Excuse me, my glasses have like fucking chicken grease on them or something.
But
Ah,
I do love Gentian liqueur, and I
I
actually
do
in
too.
fact I really like the Genziana as well. Like I've had a bottle of that at bars that I've worked at. I've actually had a bottle of that at my house for a period of time. So yeah, I've drank it. It's
Thank you.
really great. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really proud of that product. It's the most polarizing in the tasting room because it is a kind of, I call it my lovable weirdo because it is a little bit of an oddball, but and I'm often surprised about who loves it and who doesn't in the context of the tasting room. But yeah, if I'm going to sit and sip something that I make, that's like the one I find myself going to. Yeah,
gentian is really polarizing in general. That's why people freak out about Malort. It's because of the gentian flavor.
I was thinking also,
Wormwood, I think.
yeah,
Is it
wormwood.
Isn't it
wormwood?
the gent? Oh, that too. Yeah, you're right. That's true. Cut that.
Cut that.
Both. Why not both? But yeah, people freak out about gentian. I've noticed it's polarizing.
So
It is. Yeah.
going back to the Devil's Club that you were talking about and like what you're trying to do with it, I would kind of classify Amaro Amorino as more of like a Southern Italian Amaro. Would you say that that's accurate?
Yeah, I do, which is funny because I haven't spent that much time in southern Italy until the last maybe 10 years. But I love that style. It also when I started making it, and so I started working on this 12 years ago. Um, there were a few kind of domestic Amari coming out, and it seemed that everybody wanted to do these very herbal, very alpine, very dry, very bitter things. Everybody was drinking a lot of Fernet at that time, and excuse me. Um, the and I feel like there was this sort of thing I've referred to as the IPAification of Amaro, where like everybody like in order to be cool, you had to like the thing that was more intense and more bitter and more dry. And I thought, but there's also this whole other family of Amari that are like really beautiful, more approachable. So yeah, so in that sort of like Montenegro, Vecchio Maro del Capo, that sort of thing. And so I thought, if you the famous Amaro bar in the East Village, Amore Amargo, they put their Amari on the shelf in this like continuum of styles. And so I saw this one area as like I kind of would like if that included some of those that I mentioned as like I would want mine to sort of not be like any of those, but fit on that part of the shelf in that area of the continuum. So, and I also think that there's this people will often say to me like, "Oh, is your Amaro more bitter or is it more sweet?" And I don't think those are the ends of the spectrum. I don't think it's a linear. I don't think it's a linear spectrum either. I think it's sort of an XY axis, where you have like dry and sweet, and you have bitter and less bitter on two different axes. And so, yeah, Amorino is definitely designed to be approachable, um, but pretty assertive. Um, but certainly, if it's the first Amaro you've ever had, it's not going to be Nova Salis or something. It's not going to make you want to never drink an Amaro again. It's going to hopefully be like, oh, where can I get more of this?
Right.
Or other things like this. Yeah.
I love the way that you said that there's an IPAification of Amari because I feel like that's so well put. I've talked previously on this show about how before COVID there was kind of this like ramping up period where like everybody was becoming more knowledgeable about things like Amari. And part of it was being led by like everybody loves Fernet now. Everybody knows more about classic cocktails, so like bitters are way more in play, and like a lot of different ways for bartenders and stuff. So it kind of leaks out to the public that this is like what bars are getting stocked with, and this is like what bartenders are excited about. So people become more knowledgeable about it. They have their preferences, and then COVID happens, and it seemed like all of that went away because the people that were becoming of age to drink kind of had like a year where they just didn't go to the bars, and it just feels like we've kind of regressed as far as like a general public alcohol knowledge. And I think as a result of that, Amaro specifically has been kind of reduced to this thing where it's like, oh, you can drink that? That's crazy. Like, that's really bitter and gross. And it's not like this, like it used to be this like, oh, I have like a palate that can sift through all these things, and I really enjoy the complexity and like the challenge of it. And now it's more just kind of like, it's almost like a dare or something, it's like people are like, oh, like you're not gonna like that, like that's crazy, and then they drink it and they're like, oh yeah, just like I thought, it was like really really bitter. But I really like the idea of you using the Devil's Club in a new expression of Amaro, because I think you have an opportunity to like create something that's softer, but it is in that like northern style. Like I think of like Braulio, because Braulio is like
Love
it's
Braulio.
very uniquely piney. Like there are piney flavors in other Amari, but Braulio is sweet. Like it pairs that really like intense pininess with enough sugar that it's not like challenging. And I think that
Yeah.
it would be so fun because other Amaros don't really accomplish that. Like I think that Braulio does a really good job, and I think it'd be so fun to have the Devil's Club as a local ingredient be a way that you could like get there. I was gonna say, as a bartender, I'm always looking for ways to incorporate local ingredients that are like purposeful, like not just because it's local. I think you talked
Yeah.
about how like a lot of distilleries they default to making gin or vodka, and then once they've been around for long enough to have a whiskey that's been aged, they can start selling whiskey. And that's kind of like the plan A of like launching a spirits business. And I think what that kind of turns into for somebody on my side of it, like as a bartender, is it's just that there's no distinction between any of them. Like there are some that are more reputable because they were kind of like the first to be here, and and people that are coming into the bar know that they want like big gin or something like that, But as far as like, oh yeah, we're just gonna make a well gin so that we can start making money as a distillery and then continue to do what we want to do from there. And it's like, well, as a bartender, like I'm not gonna get excited about your well gin that you made as like a formality for your business plan. Like there's no way for me to like be excited about selling that. So like there needs to be like a distinctive thing. Like even the Rainier gin, like I think, like, do you remember when they came out with the gin? Like I think 5 or 6 years ago now or something, and it had huckleberry in it, and it
I kind of liked it.
It did have it.
I kind of liked it a little bit.
No, I liked it too, and
I like Rainier.
But regardless of whether you like it or not, personally, like it's undeniably a singular ingredient. As a drink maker, I know like, oh, not only do I have this gin, but I have like the gin that also has huckleberry in it. So it's like, and it's local, so people are more inclined to want it. So like, let's make a drink that tastes like that, and it can only taste like that because it has the Rainier gin in it. So I think Amaro in general is kind of, it lends itself to being, it allows us to be creative in a way that's like deliberate, instead of it just being like, well, you guys please just use our local gin instead of like whatever other cheap gin you can put in your well,
Yeah.
Skip, thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, two things. One is really interesting. You mentioned Braulio because that is the one that I was think about in my head when people try to put bitter against sweet, and I'm like, no, it can be both. And Braulio is the perfect example of that. The other thing I was thinking about is there's an ingredient that I've seen people try to use, especially in gins, a couple of times. There's this inclination, and I understand it, to want to use hops because of the Pacific Northwest. We are the hop capital of the world, basically. Um, it's really hard to make it work. And I have not seen a super successful expression of that.
I don't like it. I know what you're talking about. I don't
Yeah.
care for hops and things that are not beer. I don't
Yeah.
think it works.
I don't think I've even seen that. Is there like a product that
I think
is trying to do
They're-
that?
They're trying to hop everything. They're trying to hop like sparkling water and
Well-
coffee and they try to put it in everything.
I mean, as somebody who doesn't drink, I really like the hop water. Like I know that
I love hop
like
water,
the
actually,
Like
yeah.
Lagunitas has always made the hop water. Like that's definitely, because
Yes.
it's like citrusy in a great way. Like I would
Right.
prefer that over like a regular like LaCroix or something any day.
Right. I
Really?
tell people all the time that I don't like hop water, but I love Lagunitas hop water. So like I've had like several other brands, and there's this the wrong part of the hop, whereas not physically the wrong part, the wrong flavor
Yeah.
portion of the flavor profile of the hop. Whereas Lagunitas is really, it's citrusy and bright and delicious, and I crush those things.
I will try that one then. I was given a bunch of hop water. I think McMenamins sent it to me. I don't know who sent it to me, but I hated it. Probably because it was
Yeah.
from McMenamins. Sorry, McMenamins. But I hated it, and I gave it away. I like gave it to a food bank or something. I don't like it. Jeff and Skip, do you have anything else, or should we move on to news?
I was going to mention that you mentioned if Jeff ever wanted to come with you to the tasting room, we have NA options,
Nice.
Good.
including
sounds
like
good
we
to
do
know.
an Amaro sour, and so we do like a Pathfinder version of that sour.
Great.
We have some other like NA like highball type stuff.
Cool. I mean, obviously I'm going to go there and drink, but I'm also just very curious to see the space because it looks so cool.
Yeah, it's not fancy. We're like the least fancy.
That's fine.
I think it's
I'm
real.
not looking for
it's real rough.
fancy. I'm looking in
But-
general. I'm not looking for fancy. I'm looking for innovation, and it looks like you did an interesting creative
Yeah.
job with it. So,
Thanks. I like that space. I love that old building.
and I love the idea of having a little crisp, refreshing bev on the loading dock, the loading deck.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Jeff, do you have any questions left?
No, I feel like we should move on to news and what we ate.
Cool. So for news, I don't have too much this week. I just wanted to touch on the class action lawsuit that's being filed against Dick's Drive-In for unpaid wages. Seems like a trend lately. What are they, like the 10th or 12th place lately to not pay their employees, or in this case it was sick leave and overtime, and then there was an issue with breaks, people not being able to take their breaks.
Yeah.
They also had previous violations in 2021 for health and safety. Y'all pointed out earlier, I don't remember which of you said this, but it's sort of ironic because Dick's is held up as the employer in town that treats their workers so well, right? And they have a rep for paying a lot more than they needed to for many years and subsidizing education for their workers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's an interesting turn of events.
Yeah, I was really surprised when I saw that news story because
I was too.
for that exact reason. Yeah.
Yeah, you think of them as the people who go out of their way to help. I don't know what the explanation is. I mean, it's a corporation. They have, 10 locations? Like, it's not going to be one guy at the helm who made a bad decision. It's, going to be a company-wide decision. Like, several people are in on this, right? Like,
Yeah, almost certainly.
Many people drop the ball here in a row. So I'm curious to find out what happens.
Yeah, likewise.
In my experience, kind of examining why restaurants do things like this, it seems like there comes a point when they have to weigh the public backlash that is inevitably happening against their profit margin. Because we do view Dick's this way. We view them as somebody who, like you said, has in some ways gone above and beyond. I would even challenge that because I think that, it's easy to go above and beyond for a class of worker that so many people in our country have so little respect for. It's like,
right.
Look, you're not just treating them like shit, like congrats. And it's like, maybe you shouldn't do that to anybody. It's like, do you want there to be Dicks or do you not want there to be Dicks? Because like people need to work there. It? And do you want them to be miserable while they work there? Like, it just kind of seems like that's the attitude generally in like fast food in this country, where it's like, if you're there, you're already a failure of a person, which is not true at all. Like, it's a totally fine, it's a dignified job, just like anything else in the food industry or in any other industry.
And a skilled job.
Yeah. It's customer service. It's, you're taking care of a physical location, like the hourly workers are the ones that are like, opening up and locking up every day. And like, I'm sure you want to know that the place you're having your food made and served is like clean. So like, you're welcome for them for doing that every day so well. So I don't know, just in general, I feel like it's easy for somebody like Dick's to decide that they're going to try to pull this because they know that the public opinion of fast food workers has a certain like tinge of vitriol to it, where it's like, I think a lot of people probably just don't think that fast food workers deserve to make like $22 an hour or whatever.
I like how quickly you put on your labor union president hat. That's what I was hoping would happen.
Yeah. I mean, it's right though, because what phrase do we use when I talk about someone who's doing a worthless job? They're flipping burgers.
They're burger flippers.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's skilled labor, it's multitasking, it's consistency is important. It's not a job that I could probably do. You got to be on your feet all day. You got to have a bunch of different things in your brain at once. I can barely remember to, be on the podcast on time or like file my taxes or do the dishes. So I respect it. I don't know, like maybe there was a leadership change. Like, why did this happen now? What's going on? What's going on at Dick's Drive-In,
I mean, we've talked to all these restaurant owners that are in agreement that it's never been harder to operate a business in the black than it is right now. So like, kind of like I said earlier, like there just comes a point when you have to weigh your options. Like they probably feel like they're either going to start taking something from their employees they didn't previously take, or they're going to have to like lose that money, lose it, quote unquote, because it was never theirs to begin with. But it's like, oh, we can take something from them and maybe nobody will notice, or even if they do notice, there'll be enough like wishy-washiness with the public where it's like, oh, well, they're just flipping burgers. Like, why do they even need, like, I never had breaks when I was in Vietnam or whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean?
We drank from the hose. Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I had to suffer, so do you. And it's like, well, they made breaks mandated for a reason. And like, you're
we could be living in paradise. Like, there's a reason.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. They can't point to the minimum wage increase because they exceed it, and they did before the increase. Like, I think they paid $22 to start. Even now, they already exceed it and they pay up to 26, and they always paid way more than minimum wage. So that's not why. I don't know. I don't know why. I haven't asked them. And then the other news item, which is more for my universe than yours is that Seattle Met magazine got bought, probably not suddenly, but to our eyes very suddenly. I believe the owner filed not for bankruptcy, but for a receivership. I'm not 100% sure what a receivership is versus bankruptcy, but it had to do with a $2.5 million loan that she couldn't pay back, I think. And so the magazine, actually the parent company, which is called Saga City, that owns like Seattle Bride and Portland Monthly and a couple other magazines. The whole thing got bought by Our, H-O-U-R, media in Detroit, suburban Detroit, and they own like Tallahassee Magazine and Minneapolis Magazine and Atlanta Monthly, or, you know, Salt Lake Magazine, lots of city magazines. And my concern is that, A, of all, they're not locally owned, and there's not that many publications that are locally owned anymore. But B, Seattle Met is one of the few places locally that has a dedicated food and drink editor, writer, whose job is only to cover Seattle restaurants and food production. And also, notably, their editor-in-chief got laid off right away. Off the bat, they laid off Eric Nussbaum, who I worked with him. I wrote my historic building column for Seattle Met. I don't know what's going to happen to it. But I'm worried that now that the magazine is not locally owned, are they going to give a fuck about coverage on local restaurants? I don't know. Like, I don't know. We don't know these people. Who are these people?
Are they going to be reusing content across cities, you know, that sort of stuff?
Do their other magazines have dedicated food and drink writers? And if not, are they going to try to fuck with this one? Because we were talking earlier, Harry Cheadle at Eater got laid off. Eater Seattle is a ghost ship. It's unmanned right now. It's Naomi Tomke at Seattle Met, and the three, it's Bethany, Ton, and Jackie at Seattle Times. I don't know that there's another dedicated. There's The Infatuation, which has an outpost in every city, but that's not really a publication. It's a website. It's online only. It's not print media. So I'm worried. I feel like I just gave a speech, but I'm concerned about it. I don't know how this factors into your lives, but for me, it's concerning. It's something we're talking about a lot.
I think I've always thought it was important to have sort of local media coverage of what's going on in the food scene, because it's so easy to either just, you know, people continuing to go to the same places or not realizing. A lot of times it's just that there's not a realization of what's even happening in the city unless we have food media to help tell people. It's easy to just know what's in your neighborhood and not understand that, like, someone's doing something really cool down in Columbia City and, you know, whatever. So I think that's the role that it plays. I feel like the Seattle Times has done a little bit of a better job recently of highlighting some of those like smaller neighborhood type things than they had historically. So that's nice, but they can't do all of it.
Yeah. What I like about Seattle Times is that Jackie Variano is specifically the neighborhoods writer. So she's covering specific neighborhoods, and that helps bring new places and even old places in neighborhoods you may not go to the front of your mind. So I did think they do a great job with that. I'm glad they have a team of 3 people. I'm not saying Naomi's going to get laid off. I'm just like, we don't know. We don't know what's about to happen. I hope the new company cares, because she's boots on the ground. She's local. Yeah. She's lived here her whole life. I'm concerned.
Well, yeah, somebody has to care, right? Like, I feel like the job of a journalist, like, especially, I mean, in general, the job of a journalist, I would say ideally, is to be independent, and they are, hopefully, they have some sort of say over what they cover, right? Because I think it'd be easy for a magazine that has a food and beverage component that is based in another city, and they don't have people that are actually living in Seattle and eating in Seattle working on this beat. I imagine the temptation would be like, oh, well, we need something for our food and beverage section this month or this week or whatever, how often they publish. So they just go to the easiest thing they could, where it's like, oh, like, what's Ethan Stoll doing? What's Renee Erickson doing? Like, what's just who are some people that are going to pay us to write about them? Or who are some people that it's just going to be the easiest thing for people to be like, oh, I already know about that, so I can read a
Right.
couple of things about that, and it's not going to challenge me either way. So it's almost like
Right.
instead of it just being like a filler article, it actually could be something informative and inspiring, and something
Right.
that somebody who wrote it was inspired by, because they're like, oh, I
Yeah.
want to write about this specific thing because I love it, and I think that it is an example of what can be good about Seattle. Whereas just like,
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
not prophesying that this will happen, but
yeah.
yeah,
yeah,
it could
Yeah,
happen.
I was in a story about Seattle being a secret Amaro town that was in the Seattle Met about a
Yeah.
year and a half ago. It was a great little story. Someone had a writer had an idea, they pitched it, thought they did a really nice job with it. And that's not the kind of thing that can happen without a local sort of robust food media scene.
Hmm.
And then the fear I have is we get stuck. All the local food coverage is influencers,
Yeah.
and that's the worst. There was one influencer recently. I ran across a thing they did that was the five best pizza places in Seattle. First of all, don't get me started on what best
Yeah.
means.
Right.
Uh, what you mean is your
It
five
doesn't.
favorite.
It doesn't mean anything at all. Yeah.
Yeah. And the second thing was, as I started going through sort of the comments, people were saying, "Oh, did you try this place? Did you try this place? Try this place?" They hadn't tried any of them.
No.
Sort of like some of the better known, best pizza places in the area.
Yeah. I mean, I
It's like,
like that.
how do you create a definitive list?
And who the fuck are you, right?
And who the
Like,
fuck are you? Yeah,
yeah. Like, I guess I like I do when I do best of lists. And who the fuck am I to make a best of list? I encourage other people if they don't like my picks to make their own list and publish it. So like,
yeah,
I like the idea that everyone, there's no accounting for taste. Everyone can like what they
mhm,
like.
yeah.
I'm a little suspicious of an influencer. I saw an influencer the other day that was like, I'm an up and coming influencer in Seattle, and here's some beef that two businesses have with each other on the internet. Like,
Oh, I saw that.
yeah, was it Market House and Locksmith Bagels? Anyway,
Yeah,
like
saw that.
what is the intention of the people who are publishing this, and why? And yeah, what's their research, and how would they know? Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Who did they talk
you
to?
say who are you, but there's a really simple answer to that question. Like, you're an established food writer.
I
So
am a journalist of 25
so
years
like
who
that
has
doesn't
lived here my whole life.
yeah,
Yeah.
like that counts for a lot. Like you
Yeah.
have the trust of not only the people you write for as far as your readership, but you have the trust of the people who employ you to write for them, that you're not going to write some garbage article.
Yeah.
And
I know
you've
a
had
thing or
that
two.
trust for decades. So it's crazy for somebody to be like, I
Yeah.
know how to create an Instagram account, and I know how to like use the algorithm and take pictures with my iPhone. So I'm going to make a list of
Yeah.
pizza places, like the first 5 pizza places that my friends that are also on Instagram told me to go to. So it's like the difference is night and day. Like it's not even close.
Fair fucks to them if they like pizza and want to celebrate pizza, and if they actually like, I
But
have to
yeah,
give them benefit of the doubt. If they really like that pizza, they can. Like, that doesn't hurt me, and it doesn't hurt the pizza places that I like. If it's just some kid who wants to say I like these things, I guess that's fine.
Well, it is annoying that they say it's the best, because
It is
there is a
annoying.
reason they do that, and it's not because they're ignorant to the English
Right.
language. They do that because
Right.
it drives engagement.
Totally.
Like to say that
correct.
something is your favorite is not something that people can then argue about. To say something that's the
Right.
best is to say that, oh, like if I think that
People be
something
like,
is different than
yeah,
you think, then we're in a disagreement now. So now the comment section can go off.
it's for the comments.
Right.
Yeah,
Correct. Yeah.
100%. Good luck to all of them. I'm sure all their pizza choices are wrong. Do you remember what they are, just so that I can get mad in the comments right here
I
on the
don't,
podcast?
but I do remember some of the ones they hadn't tried. For instance, Delancey, Bar del
Oh my
Corso,
god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
like yeah,
No,
ones that you probably you can't start making a list without,
no.
right? Yeah,
It's cute. I mean, it's like, I ate something delicious. We all know that emotion. I ate something delicious and I want to tell people about it, but I think you're right. It doesn't come from that pure silver, like, loving, pizza loving place. It
No.
comes from
yeah.
I'm building
Well,
engagement.
yeah, that
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
like pizza's the most important thing in my life. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you throw that love into the grinder of social media, and then it spits out something that doesn't have much to do with the love you originally had.
Right. I'm
yeah,
saying, like, if we're having a good faith argument, we can pretend it comes from that sweet pizza
yeah,
loving heart. But yeah, you're right. It probably doesn't. We'll never know. We'll never know. I
Hopefully.
don't even know who the influencer was. They got swallowed up by time. I'll never find out. Shall we talk about what we ate this week? And Skip, do you want to start?
Sure.
You can say no.
Yeah, no. The place I'm currently obsessed with is in West Seattle, just across the bridge on Fauntleroy, the right hand side. Every night there is a taco tent, uh, and doing al pastor on a trompo, and like really, really good. I actually was turned on to it by a guy who had been working for me for a little bit, and he grew up in Austin and is a bit of a al pastor, self-proclaimed al pastor nut, and was like, that place is great and is as good as almost anything I have.
Okay. Does it have a name?
So I looked it up because they do have an Instagram. It's Tacos La Asadita, and
Asadita.
they
It's just a little one.
Asadita,
I like it.
and
That's
they
a baby.
have on their Instagram it says like Everett and Edmonds, and so I think they just started this like West Seattle is like another one.
Okay.
I don't know because it's not even like that address isn't even on there, but they've been there for several months. Anyway,
Okay.
$3 tacos, like a $10 or $12 torta,
Where on
really good.
Fauntleroy? Like, what's it by?
Like kind of like as you just after you come up the West Seattle Bridge and you're heading up the hill, it's just a few blocks up on the right,
Okay.
right, like shortly before you would get to like Buduruksa.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Okay.
yeah,
Right.
right there. It's just a white tent. Can't miss it.
My bestie lives over
Uh,
there. So although she doesn't eat a lot of glutinous and dairy things, I'm just gonna go and be like, we're eating this.
yeah,
Eat
I
it, take a
mean,
bite of
cool.
it.
Yeah. Um, I was a place I go all the time. If you're in West Seattle and you want to go to the best place in West Seattle, go to Sebastiano's,
Where's that? I
which
don't
is a
even know
little.
that place.
It's on California, right across the street from like Prost and Larry's,
Okay.
um, and it's just a little natural wine bar. And I probably am there 2 or 3 times a week. It's not hard to find me
Really?
there. I always tell people like, what if your local was happened to be a natural wine bar, owned by Sebastiano, who's born and raised in Italy, and he in Milan.
Okay.
Really interesting guy, and it's just like a really cool community of people. So it's like I said, it's kind of like a local pub. It's just a natural wine bar, and that when I walk in there,
Oh, wait, I know
more than
exactly
half
where
of
it is. I just realized I know exactly where it is. I'm
yeah,
totally gonna go there. That place looks so
you
cute.
should.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's the
will.
best.
Okay.
And so anyway, yeah, I was there this weekend. Sebastiano celebrated a birthday, and so all the regulars came in. And he had champagne for people, and it was lovely.
Great. Do they do
So
snacks?
they don't do snacks, and
No.
because of the kind of place that he has, where he can't have any kind of like proper, he can't have a kitchen of any kind.
Okay.
So, but
I'm sorry I
there's little like
asked.
he sells like little popcorn and
Okay.
cool chips and things.
Those
But
are
yeah,
snacks.
not
That
those are
counts.
snacks. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
some snacks.
Popcorn equals
Um,
snacks.
yeah, those are kind of the two places I hit up in the last week. I was at Lorsan, but I'm there
Nice.
periodically.
Will you
So
talk about Lausanne for a minute? Because I went once with a friend and I didn't have a great time, but I can't count the number of times people have recommended Lausanne to me.
I think that place is special.
Okay, that's what people say. I got to go back.
Yeah, I don't know what about your experience was not great, but
It just was really. I went with a friend who's from the Netherlands and she thought it was amazing, and I was just like, this is just a burger. Like this, we got some sides. We tried some stuff. I thought it was really normal. It was pretty close to after they opened. Like it was, they were pretty fresh back
okay.
then. I totally
Well,
intend to go back and to go to Barbellon as well. But
yeah, so I think one of the things that gets overlooked because people think of them as like a French bistro and wine place, which is true. One of the best, well, I think the best restaurant cocktail program in the city. I don't even think it's close, honestly.
okay,
Yeah, I think
well I have a
Zach
cocktail
and his team
column,
do
so
an amazing job.
I'm writing it
Yeah, I
down.
love, I adore that place. Sometimes I'll just go and get the salad.
Okay,
They have the most amazing salad
okay,
with like this smear of like soft French cheese on the bottom of the plate, and it's
that's
lovely and amazing.
that sounds baller.
So you said
Uh,
Lausanne has the best cocktail program in the city.
Restaurant, I mean, of the restaurant, like restaurants that have
Well,
Are those
I mean,
fighting, are
they'd be
those
up
fighting
there.
words?
no, it's not.
No,
No,
I
it's
would.
not. Because as somebody who's really like in tune with cocktails, as like a maker of Amaro and things like that. Like I just wonder what your parameters are. You know, like what makes you say that?
Create, yeah, creativity, unusual flavor combinations that work really well. They are heavily focused because of who they are with like French spirits and things, but also other stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think
Uh,
sometimes it helps when there's
that,
a restaurant component to it to be able to dial in like
yeah,
what the theme or like kind of like what the commonality is between all your cocktails, as opposed to like if you're at a bar where there's no cuisine or there's nothing else to like mirror it after. It's kind of like a free for all. So it's almost like there's too many options for you to put together like a cohesive like album of like cocktails, you know what I mean? But if it's this place that specializes in a specific kind of cuisine or a specific kind of like part of the world, then you might be more able to explore that area specifically and come up with some really cool creative ways to do that.
yeah. Some of the stuff they do, I think, is really creative. You know, their cocktail menus always has some sort of like really specific theme to it. So right now it's like sort of the regular and then the upside down, and it's in the middle of the thing. You actually have to turn the menu upside down to look at
Oh,
the upside down part of the menu, and it's this sort of the more unusual stuff on that half. Maybe
that
stuff that
sounds
might
like
challenge a palate more.
that sounds Stampede coded to have like an interesting
Yeah.
Yeah,
menu
they used to
design.
have. They had a one time. They had it was the the Paris Metro, and so each one of the stops was cocktails
Oh,
of different
I
kinds.
love
So
that.
yeah, they do really interesting and cool stuff.
That's enough to get me over there, honestly. I love a shtick, like a graphic design shtick. I love an art shtick.
It does remind me of Stampede. I feel like we talk about Stampede a lot, obviously, but like that
Yeah.
kind of stuff, I do love stuff like that. Like it's intentional. It's somebody expressing like a creative concept, not just like throwing different ingredients in a drink. And like the whole menu is, yeah, I love that.
The production quality of the drink menus at Stampede were bonkers. Like, so beautiful.
Paul let us really have our say with that. You know, I think that
Cool.
that is an owner who understands that he has creative people on staff that want to start making stuff that's cooler than, you know, if you give them the leeway to do it, they're going to work harder than they need to make it cool, especially if they
Right.
have some sort of skin in the game where it's like, oh yeah, like
For
I'm the
sure.
reason that this is happening, so I want to make sure it's really cool, you know.
Yeah.
Right. And then you're paying artists to be working artists,
Right.
which is important as
Yeah.
well.
Right.
Jeff, what'd you eat this week?
I just wanted to point out a couple of Fremont spots because I didn't really travel to any other neighborhoods besides just like work and home this
That's okay.
week. But I did go to Three Lard Tamales
Oh yeah,
yesterday,
I went there a few weeks ago. Yeah.
which, you know, I've gone there a number of times, but I've always gotten a tamale and like a plate with just rice and beans. But I got their tacos this time, and the tacos are really, really good. I feel like, first of all, it's a big portion of like the meat that they put in there. Also, I love the different kinds of sauces that they're using. Like, I feel like it's not just the standard, like, here's your meat, here's your salsa, and then here's like a wedge of citrus, which, you know, I have no problem with that either. Like, that's a taco. But like when you add a couple different things to it, it really elevates it. The tortillas, I guess they were just all corn tortillas, but I feel like something about the texture, I feel like they must be doing something different. And maybe they're just like really fresh, but I was just taken with the
Extra
tortilla
lard.
itself. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it did have this like oily quality to it. So I'm sure whether it
Yeah.
was corn or whether it was a combination of corn and flour, they
Yeah.
just threw it on the flat top for a little bit. So just so it had like the oil was able to kind of work into the tortilla, and it wasn't like greasy, but it was like moist, and it was a
Yeah.
perfect vessel for everything else in the taco.
You're selling it.
Yeah, I mean, go there. It rocks.
I was there like a month ago, and just yesterday, I'm like, I gotta go back to that place and try more stuff. So
Yeah, I'm looking forward to trying the rest of
choosing
their
it.
menu now too, because I was just like, well, you're called free lard tamales, so I'm gonna get.
Yeah.
I like those things, so I'm gonna get one, and that's what I kept doing because they're good. But then I
Right.
branched out, and I'm glad I did.
Good.
I also wanted to quickly talk about. I guess this kind of is news too, but Cafe Ladro is one of the businesses that's closing on 36th Street, like that whole block that used to be like Roxy's and Norm's, and then like
Oh,
it's been Bila Bar most recently, but it was like three different things
yeah,
since
yeah.
I've lived here. There,
Cafe Ladro? Is that what you're saying?
yeah, Ladro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, how do you spell that? I figured it out. I got
I'm
there.
not a local Seattleite, so I'm sure I
It's
mispronounced
okay.
it.
Yeah.
But
Took me a
anyway,
sec.
that whole block is just getting torn down, and they're putting up like a 7-story apartment building or
Yeah.
whatever. But now that Fremont Coffee is the only show in town, and it's like there's a line halfway down the block every day now, because Ladro was kind
Yeah.
of like the way to mitigate that. Like I feel like every time I walked by Fremont Coffee, I was like, well, I can't get a coffee here in the next 10 minutes, so I'm just gonna run across the street and go to Ladro. But Sunday Coffee in Fremont, it is like right
Oh,
below Dreamlands. It's not. It's like it's
okay.
across from the Google campus. It's like right below the patio
Sure.
of Dreamland and
By the canal,
by the
yeah.
canal, and they're just so great. Like I know that it's kind of hard to talk about all the specific merits of like one coffee shop over the other because they're all just kind of serving coffee and pastries or whatever. But like,
No, they all have distinct personalities. I disagree with
yeah,
that.
Yeah.
There's a huge range. Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
personality of the place is absolutely top notch. Like all the people that work there are super happy for you to be there whenever you come in. They work really efficiently together behind the bar, which is really fun for me to watch. It seems like there's always people there enjoying spending time there, and they're not just like working. Like I feel like people are there like talking and hanging out, which is always really fun to see. Their coffee cake is like really really good. I always will get like a coffee cake and a coffee if I'm feeling a little early afternoon treat, like after my breakfast or something. But yeah, I feel like it's kind of a place that recently has been open every day of the week. I think they started off just doing weekends or like, when the farmers market was happening, they would be open obviously. But now it's an everyday thing and they seem to be doing really good business every day. And I'm really happy for them because I love being a patron of that establishment. So
Good. I didn't even know they were there. So
yeah. So Sunday Coffee. I know that's kind of like giving away a secret, like giving away your good coffee shop, but
Well, is it new? Is it a new place?
So I think it's been there for at least, I want to say around a year. I don't know if it's been more or less, but for the majority of that time, the hours were really limited. Like
I
it was
see.
literally only like Friday through Sunday or something. I mean, I'm kind of just making that up, but I know that it was closed for the majority of the week and now it's not. And I find myself going there on a kind
So
of
it's sort
regular
of new.
basis.
It's in its new era. Yeah.
As a small business owner, I say give away your secrets
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
Definitely.
they need to not be secret in
No,
order to
yeah. If I have to
survive.
wait another 45 seconds to a couple minutes in line every day and they get to make more
Yeah.
money and they're all happier with their business, then that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make for sure.
I will also say I love Fremont Coffee, and I especially love all the beautiful murals in there.
Oh yeah.
They're all good.
Yeah, no, I love Fremont
They're
Coffee
just
too. It's just they are so busy, especially
they're
with
chock-a-block. Yeah.
with the Ladro closing now that it's like
Yep.
unless I've really got some time to kill, like I'm not gonna wait in that
Yeah.
line.
No, I feel you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Is that it?
Well, you got to talk about what you ate.
Well, I'm going to, but is that it for you?
Yeah, that's it for me. Yeah.
All right, I got two. Where's my little piece of paper here? I got two in Tacoma and one in Seattle. Balloon Roof Baking Company. I just wrote a story about this for Weekly Volcano. By the way, I'm writing a story every week about food in Pierce County for Weekly Volcano now. So I'm going to sort of be quoting my own story that I stayed up till 2 a.m. writing. Balloon Roof is normally originally based in Fife, and it's named after the Balloon Roof Dance Hall, which burned down in the 60s, but was like a jazz place that hosted Duke Ellington. Anyway, it's a historic building in Fife. They just opened a Tacoma location. I had this bread, this sourdough bread. They do pastries, they do all kinds of stuff. Their sourdough boule is served at a restaurant called Field Bar that I'm obsessed with, also in Tacoma. And I can happily eat a side of this beautiful, billowy, steamy, crusty sourdough bread with their house-made ricotta and like whatever jam, whatever fruit is in season, and just have that be my entree. It is so like delirious making. But I wasn't going to go to Fife because I knew that they sell out every day. So I knew if I woke up early and drove down to Fife, it'd be gone by the time I got there. But now they have a location on 6th Avenue in Tacoma. It's gorgeous. Steve and I went in and we each got a loaf of bread, so we didn't have to share. I got a Queen Amman, which I love a Queen Amman. And it was perfect and had that crispy sort of caramelized exoskeleton, and it was highly laminated, and the air was perfumed by butter. It was just a beautiful experience. I got a ham and cheese croissant that was also very laminated and had like Gruyere and like a little touch of Dijon in there. Just beautiful work. Really happy about that. And we went to my nephew, Ryan, who is an adult in his 30s, got free tickets to a Tacoma Rainiers game. As you know, I know fuck all about baseball, but he had free tickets, so me and Steven and Ryan, my nephew, got to sit in the Summit Club at Cheney Stadium to see the Tacoma Rainiers play the El Paso Chihuahuas, and they lost. But they have, little food stalls, and they couldn't hold a candle to Lumen Field, of course, where they have, Rondo food and 206 curry and that sort of thing. But they had pretty decent barbecue brisket. I had a pretty legit, surprisingly, for this part of the world, because we don't have the best barbecue, and B, for a stadium food. Like, I got a baked potato, and it had like kind of shitty Hormel chili. I was like, sure, just put everything on it. They had like the squeezed sour cream, like shredded cheese from a bag, but then the brisket was like legit. I don't know. I was impressed for $15. Not bad for stadium food. And it was a party. It was really cute to go see the Rainiers play the Chihuahuas.
I don't know if they're selling loaded baked potatoes at T-Mobile, but they should be. That's like a baseball snack and a half right there. I'd be sitting.
Yeah, with barbecue. Yeah, you can add pulled pork or brisket, and the brisket was like good. I don't know, pretty good.
I don't know. I have a hard time. You already mentioned it very passingly, but I have a hard time going to the stadium now and not getting that curry.
Yeah, the curry's so good.
It might be my favorite stadium food of all time.
Yeah,
And like
it's
priced in
amazing.
a way that like whenever I get it, it's like stadium price, but I'm like, I mean, I'd pay $20 for this or whatever it is at a
Yeah.
restaurant.
Well, you can get it at a restaurant. You can get it at Rondo. You can get it
Right.
at
Right,
Tom's
yeah.
Amari Bar. Yeah. So I will say a Rainiers game is so much more chill than a Mariners game. Holy shit. Like, I could never deal with the stress of a Mariners game. Sounds crazy making. I don't know. Maybe the curry is worth it, though.
Well,
What do you think?
they also have the boats. They have the ferry boats.
They have the ferry boats. Yeah.
That's one thing
Yeah.
that I've been seeing ever since the season started. Because Skip, we talked about this like before this season even started, that this was like a news item that they were going to have these ferry boats. And I can confirm a lot of things. They are made out of plastic. They're not like just
Okay.
a cardboard. Because I thought it might just be
Okay.
like a cardboard construction of something that you're putting food in or whatever. But they're like a collector's item. Like it's plastic. I think they cost like $8, and I see people bringing them from the game to the rooftop bar all the time.
Really?
I think
want one.
I feel like I've heard people be like, "Oh yeah, I just want to decorate my apartment," and I'm like, "Okay, cool. You don't have a girlfriend, that's for sure." But also,
Hey, I'm a girlfriend, and I would be thrilled to see one of those things.
yeah, I guess there's no baseball paraphernalia
Not all girlfriends.
allowed in my house, but also they're selling on eBay for like $100.
No shit.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
really. So like, I literally tell people, I'm like, well, you could get the ketchup stain off the bow there, and you could be making some money.
Make some money. In a year, they'll all be at the Goodwill. But
Yeah, I've seen a couple of them after games at the tasting room.
Yeah.
So yeah, people are definitely super into them.
Do we know it? Like,
I don't think
it's-
the other way, as a person who's terrible at doing promotional things, I forgot we didn't mention my hours, which are we're only open on weekends. It was reminded when you were talking about the coffee place.
what are
So
your
sometimes
hours?
people noon to 6 Saturdays, noon to 4 Sundays.
Okay.
Pretty limited, but that's what works
No, that
for
seems
us. Yeah,
Saturday and Sunday or Friday and Saturday.
yeah,
Okay.
Saturday and Sunday.
I got to get this
Yeah.
done. God damn it. It's been on my to-do list for like a year. Oh, and I think speaking of stadium food, did they have Moto Pizza at the stadium? At Lumen? No?
I don't know about
At,
Lumen,
T-Mobile?
At T-Mobile. Do they?
They do.
They do.
Yeah, it's way up on the third level.
Okay.
It's way up on the third level. So I've only gotten it once when I was sitting up there. I was there for the Ichiro Hall of Fame induction game, whatever. And so we went up there, and I'll tell you, we got in that line, and it was we were probably 50 people back in that
Oh my
line. I was like,
god.
oh, this is going to be terrible. And I'd use the restroom. So my buddy's like, I'll wait in line. By the time I went to the restroom and came back, he was almost at the front. Like
No
they're
shit.
ranking pizzas out of there. Yeah.
They're a
He's got
machine.
a system. He's got a system down and they were really good.
Well, I went for the first time, and the reason I didn't go is because originally you had to wait 3 months and put your name on a waiting list, and I was like, "Fuck
Uh-huh.
that! I don't do lines, and I sure shit don't do 3 month waiting lists and put your pizza on layaway. Fuck that." But they opened in the bottom of the Smith Tower, and so I was walking through downtown, and I stopped in, and it took 15 minutes maybe. I got the classic Mr. Pig. It was good as hell. It had that lechon kawali pork belly, the Filipino pork belly. It had sausage. It had onions. It had banana ketchup, like Filipino ketchup, and it had like a lime calamansi. It almost was like a chimichurri, like a green sauce on top or a pesto type quality. It was so fucking good. They do a tomato base, and then perhaps even better than the very good deep dish Detroit style Filipino pizza was I got vanilla soft serve. You get two choices of toppings, and then wait, maybe you get three. Anyway, I got peach syrup. I'm doing a circle on my soft serve. Peach syrup and praline, like butter pecan syrup, and then I added the chili crisp with the garlic in it and the chili oil running down. It was so fucking good. I was a little scared. It was so good. Like, it was enormously delicious.
So is this a
So-
combo that they already had cooked up for you, or this was like all
No,
you?
I chose it.
Were
so-
they impressed by your choices?
Chili crisp was an option on the ice cream menu as a topping. So I'm not the first person to add chili crisp. That's suggested.
Okay.
But I also added peach and butter pecan syrup. Very, very thin squiggles in a helix.
Yeah.
And then they just kind of heaped a little bit of chili crisp on two sides and let the oil run down and collect in the rim of the cup. Oh, it was so fucking good.
And that's like right next to the Cafe Vita that's at the bottom of the Smith Tower?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. And by Collins Pub.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, I'm gonna check that out.
Very good.
That sounds awesome.
It was fucking awesome. So I want to go back. I never had anything against Moto Pizza. I just didn't want to wait 1,000 years for pizza, you know? And I think it was like 12 or 13 bucks too for a whole ass meal. Like, I could have lived with eating just one of those two big slices. You get two big squares, so you get a rectangle. I'm sure you know that because you waited in the line. I could have been full on the first one, but I ate the whole thing. So
And that guy is on like explosive expansion
yes,
like I think there's one in Bellingham. I think I saw there's one in Los Angeles.
really, I didn't know
Am I
that.
crazy? I might be crazy. I feel like I saw that on Instagram or something. But
There's
yeah,
one
he's
in
got one in
Edmonds.
Bellevue. Yeah, Edmonds, Bellevue.
There was one on Lower Queen Anne, kind of over where Renee's first boat bar was, right?
Oh
Like,
yeah,
I think that's true. It might not be there anymore, but yeah, do that. Definitely eat vanilla ice cream with chili crisp oil and the crisp and the garlic on it with peach and butter pecan syrup.
Heard, chef.
In closing, Skip, thank you so much. Anything else you need people to know about you or any events coming up? Or it's baseball season.
there are like 5 in California, by the way. I'm sorry, I was just looking
Oh,
at it.
you're looking it up? There's 5
Yeah,
Moto pizzas?
4 I think. 2 in San Diego and
No
1 in
shit.
San Clemente and 1 in Indian Wells.
Wow.
So is he
Um,
even in Seattle anymore?
I think so.
Okay. Crazy.
I don't know. So anyway, what else we have going on? No, just come see me in the tasting room. It's fun.
Okay.
We're chill.
Well,
We have delicious drinks, and you can taste delicious Italian liqueurs. I think we've got 6 things on the tasting flight now. So
amazing. Yeah, you've got the
we provide you with little, like it's like a little. They do a little Italian aperitivo snack things. So you get some chips and some house roasted nuts, and
nice.
you get to sit in the sun.
Do you have the flight paddle? The
I
wooden
do have
paddle?
you get 2 flight paddles.
Nice.
Yeah,
I love a flight paddle. I love
I do
a
too.
series, you know? Like I like to see them all laid out at once.
Yeah.
You should turn
Yeah.
the Mariner's ferry boat into a flight paddle.
Oh my God, that's such a good idea.
You can have them
I,
hand
I,
carved.
Yeah, at $100 a piece off of eBay.
Yeah. You don't get to keep them.
I could just walk over to the stadium though and go to a game and get like 8 of them.
Just
So
steal some. Yeah, and then put
yeah,
your little drinks in them instead of
yeah.
fries. Drinks, the Italian fries. Skip, have a good day. Thanks for chatting.
But yeah, you guys too. It was
Always
fun.
a pleasure.
Thanks. Skip.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Yeah. Cheers, guys. Bye.